Welcome to the Magic on the Inside podcast by the Sisters Enchanted, where we chat magic, hot topics, personal development, and good old-fashioned life. Brew up something delicious and sit with us for a spell. Welcome to this episode of the Magic on the Inside podcast. I'm Sarah, founder of the Sisters Enchanted.
Well, welcome, Sarah. Good morning. I'm Anna, the co-founder of the Sisters Enchanted.
And this is Magic on the Inside.
Podcast. On
today's episode of Magic on the Inside, Anna and I are talking about herbs and shadow work.
As we do.
And make sure you listen through till the end, because we will each tell you our favorite herb to work with in shadowy times.
Ooh. Fascinating.
I know. I just sprung that one upon Anna.
You did.
I love when Anna comes to record podcasts now, because Anna and I used to work together in person frequently, and now we don't so much. And then Anna shows up to record podcasts, and I just spring surprises upon her.
Hey, man. You just do it.
It shows how flexible you are.
I don't know if I'm flexible as much as really used to taking this ride that we call life with you, and that I just have learned. Okay, tangent, side quest. We're entering side quest.
Ooh, grab your quest pack.
Woo!
If you don't know what that is, find the podcast episode about your quest pack.
So we were in an Astro Jam session the other day, which is a session that we have in our Expedition Astrology program. And it's really fun. It's meant to be fun. And to, get people confidently talking about astrology in a really tangible way. And we were talking about astrology charts and how, things can look really hard in your chart, or things can look like really difficult. And I was like, but it's there because you're meant to do the shadow work to make those hard parts be a part of your life that's just ease. I was like, it's like a speed bump in the road.
Yeah.
You don't want to drive too fast and it hurts your car, or you drive too slow and you have a hard time getting over it. You just want that speed bump to make you a safer driver, a consciously safer driver, that it's coming, and you always hit the right speed to maneuver that road bump. Speed bump.
I like what you're throwing
and
at me.
It just becomes a part of your life instead of hitting it and being like effing speed bump.
Okay, well, I do that too, though.
Yeah, because
where'd that come from?
You are not navigating the shadows of your life in a way that's proactive and positive.
A proactive way.
Like I am here in the flow, in the back of my mind, thinking about what herb do I like the best for shadow work. Actually, I did think of one immediately when you said that, so I was
going to be good.
3 steps ahead of you. But
see, there you go.
Navigate the road bumps of your life to make you the safest driver you can be.
Okay, so firstly, shadow work. Speed bumps. We teach a free class called What is Shadow Work and How to Do It. And I'm pretty positive that it's going to be linked up on our blog, thesistersenchanted.com/blog, so you can find it over there. And I'm teaching it live in October, so just, stick around, file it away to keep looking for that in your email.
It's one of the best things that you do.
Yeah, I'm super passionate about it.
You are super passionate about it.
There's arm flailing, voice raising, yelling. Okay.
It's really exciting.
I know, it's intense. I sweat. I have to drink 8 cups of tea after to calm down and refresh my throat.
They're always so good.
Yeah, October coming at you. October 2021. Okay. Shadow work. So just real quick, shadow work is the sort of the act of understanding
the speed bumps of your life.
But it's where you want to be, where you are, and then kind of the stories you're holding on to that have you holding on to where you are instead of being where you want to be. And when we talk about herbs and shadow work, we use tools to support us in shadow work, because shadow work can feel really taxing. It can feel it can almost feel like sometimes you're giving up something of yourself. I think if you don't fully understand it, when you're like, okay, well, I see that I have this money issue because X, Y, and Z, and then you start to kind of release that, do some thought work around it and whatnot. But then I think that we can kind of feel like we can overshadow. Yeah. And I think when there's people involved in your stories, like maybe a story from your childhood or your partner, your spouse, and when you're like trying to do the work of moving past it, I think there's a part of us that really wants to hold on to that wrong, that like we've been wronged, and it can be challenging to just say, yes, perhaps I was wronged, and if where I want to be means that I have to understand how I am responsible for my right now in order to move forward. That can feel like a lot to let go of some of those feelings. You know, we all harbor some resentments and things, and it can be really challenging to let go of those. And herbs are a tool to support us in that.
In that, I was thinking, and again, this is more shadow worky than
you were thinking, were you?
I was thinking, because that's not where I thought you were going to go when you said that. Because we were talking about like overshadowing, and I was like in my head, I was thinking of the like scenario that a thing to tackle with shadow work is like being defensive, all the time. So like, you know, oh well, I did that because this happened, or that person did this, or this, and you meet all things with defense. And then shadow work would be realizing that you're being defensive, and then instead of being defensive, you know, look at it, see where you're responsible, and then like try not to be reactive and try to be like humble in that moment. But even if your first thought is to be defensive, but like the overshadowing of that would be thinking that you're so defensive and trying to let that go so much that in moments where like you may need to put up boundaries and defend yourself, you may be like, oh no, I'm being defensive. And then you may become like somebody who doesn't defend themselves at all, which would be overshadowing. Like, so you've overcompensated that. And in your head, you want to be defensive, and you're like, no, I'm always defensive. That's like not, you know, you want it to be like balance in yourself. We pulled temperance today. It's like always finding like that middle ground. So if you're defensive, you don't want to become defenseless ever. You know, you want to take that shadow and put it in balance so that you can defend your boundaries and your needs when necessary, but that you're not reactive in that.
So good.
So that's where I thought you were going with that.
Not only did you bring the fly orange lipstick and green hair, but you brought the banging
wisdom
thoughts today.
I brought the knowledge, the microphone of knowledge with my Joker colors.
Okay. So when we use herbs, what can we use them for? We can use herbs, as you know, plants. Herbs are plants. We can use our
They
plants.
are?
They are.
Ooh.
We can surround ourselves with the plants. So we can. Why am I saying it like that?
Because you can.
Yeah, because I can. Because the mic's in front of me, and then I can't stop myself. We can surround ourselves with them. We can make teas and tinctures. We can put them in baths. We can dress candles with them. There's so many things we can do with herbs. So perhaps, for example, you have a family member, and that family member is bringing up a lot of shadowy stuff for you. Maybe it's like, with partners and spouses, husbands and wives, resentment is a big one. Stories from your childhood, like what your parents should and shouldn't have done, how that's impacting you now. If only this had been different, you wouldn't be like this today. Familial connection. And so
Darn families.
Working with herbs can be really healing in understanding those relationships. Maybe it's a specific herbal beverage you make yourself, a tea, and you drink it every day, just sort of envisioning filling yourself with an elixir of release or something. Or maybe you write some stories that you're holding on to, some of the things that are really breeding and fostering resentments for you. And you take some herbs and kind of sprinkle them on this paper, fold it up in a little packet, and burn it in a bonfire. There's so many cool things you can do. You can create ritual and connection for yourself and supporting your own physical and emotional wellness through herbs and baths, or even just if you're not a person who is able to or is interested in actually buying herbs as plants, like dried herbs or tea or something, you can even buy, hydrosols, like a rose hydrosol. Yeah, I have one that I keep in my bathroom all the time, and it's just a spray, and I just spritz it upon myself.
I like the rose water that is just rose water that you can find at a grocery store, so it's like safe for seasonings of things. And I put some of that sometimes in a spray bottle, but I also have it so that if I ever wanted to, you make some like rose water cupcakes to like really bring some love into some life, they would be really delicious as well.
Yeah.
So multi-purpose. I like my hydrosols multi-purpose in the form of edible floral waters.
Yeah, no, rose water is awesome.
Yeah, orange blossom water too, delicious.
Yeah, so you can use herbs to really support yourself. And the reason that we use a physical object is because it helps us to stop and get put our hands to work, our body to work, and rather than just our mind. So that's why processing emotion, physical action, and going for walks or runs is so amazing for processing emotion. The same when you're doing shadow work, having sort of something to do is helpful in reminding you what you're doing right now, why you're doing it, and to what end. Like, what is the result that you want to have from this action, this activity that you have embarked on. And then herbs, I would totally recommend just understanding what it is that you want to work with. And honestly, you can't really go wrong with like tea and different herbal based body products. If it's like a lotion or a salve or something that you're going to put in your bath water, unless you have an allergy, of course. But if you don't have an allergy, I mean, just allowing that plant, because plants are energetic in and of themselves, and just allowing that extra energetic support to hold you up is going to be amazing.
You said stop and listen, and I just thought of Vanilla Ice. As I do.
As one does.
As I always think of a song. I know for me, for instance, as most of you know, I worked in a shop for quite a long time where I was a health and beauty and supplement specialist and buyer for many years of my life. And I, through that, kind of went through like my own body detox and realized how sensitive I am to products. So even for me now, like I know like the essential oil craze has been like the craze of all crazes.
Yeah.
And but like me, I can't use products that are like heavy in essential oils. Like if there's face creams or body lotions that say like essential oils of, that actually they really bother me a lot. And so I look for things that tend to like not have those kinds of things in them. But I know when it comes to like baths and things like that, that I really like making like your homemade like tea bags for the bath.
Yeah. That
like you put them in a bag, you put them in your bathtub, you let them steep. And that way you don't get like herb particles in your plumbing. Herb particles. Because that's, not super awesome. And I also am a big fan of teas. And also my point to that was just saying, like, to make sure that you're listening to your body, you're double checking what things are really good for you. Because not all plant matters or plant delivery systems are the best for all sorts of people.
Yeah.
Like especially if you have children or pets and things like that. So to be like really, really conscious of what you're choosing, what you're looking into, double checking it with whoever you need to and your body and going forward from there for sure.
Yeah. And so another strategy, and this is not really part of what I had in mind to talk to you, but Anna mentioned it in the beginning with the Astro Jams. If you do know your birth chart and you know your time and date and place of birth and all of that, looking at what is going on in your birth chart and what those shadowy places are. So, for example, my Saturn is in Sagittarius, as is Anna's, right?
Yes.
And Saturn loathes, what you call being in detriment, does not enjoy being in Sagittarius. So that could be challenging.
It's in my first house.
And then I also have...
My life's a challenge.
Well, yeah, and then I have Sagittarius and a whole Sagittarius stellium in the 6th house, which is where Virgo is energy traditionally is. And
supreme.
Yeah, and I would say that, my Sagittarius self definitely feels uncomfortable in like a Virgo orderly context.
Do I make you uncomfortable?
No, you don't make me uncomfortable.
Yeah, like
but
the idea, in my auric field, do you feel
Anna has
the Virgo
a Virgo
pressure?
stellium. No, it's just the idea of having to do things in an orderly fashion.
No. You're like, no, I just don't like an orderly fashion.
It really makes me uncomfortable. Like, it makes me, I can't, if I have to sit down and make a list of how to do something, Honestly, so we have,
No,
this
I have
is a
something
side
to
tangent.
say.
And then
No.
I get well, because I'm talking about my,
I know, but I have something
shadow.
side tangent onto your
well,
side
is it going to make
tangent.
me forget mine?
No, go.
Okay. Well, so like an example of this with my Saturn and Sagittarius, and then all of that, my whole Sagittarius stellium in the 6th house, which is Virgo energy there. We are getting ready to, we have somebody starting with us, I think starting soon anyway.
Hello?
Hello. If you're
Are you
listening.
starting?
Full time. And I was thinking about all the things that this person needs to be like trained on and knowledgeable of. And it literally makes me freeze.
Just throw her
Like
to the
it,
wolves.
it makes me, I can't process. I think about all the stuff that this person needs to do. And then I think about teaching them how to do it. And I'm like a deer in headlights. I can't, which is interesting because I have my master's in education. I am a teacher and I'm a darn good teacher. But when it comes to having to like teach these things, it's just too much.
Yeah.
Or like our getting someone to our mother.
Well, I think for
works with
instance,
us with shipping and trying to like thinking about how to teach her to like use a spreadsheet.
Okay.
I just can't. I have no patience
in all of our
for any of
defenses,
this.
Sarah's quick as a whip and has wit to boot. And Sarah, I think, is under the mindset that if she can do it in 10 minutes, you should be able to do it in 15. And she doesn't understand why you can't do that. But Sarah is also a very different person than a lot of other people. I don't know if you haven't noticed, but Sarah's quite different than your average Joe. And I've only ever met like 3 people ever that are on par with like Sarah's level of like, I got this and go. Because Sarah can like hear something at 3 times the speed and like learn it. Like she went to school for it. Like I have to like listen twice, do 4 times, and then I learn. Like I'm a visual doer, and Sarah's like, I don't know, savant, and like hearing things like at 3 times the speed, and nobody got time for that. But I want to say, I mean, you have time for that like real rapid fire learning, and not everybody is that special, Sarah. Just so you know. But is what I was gonna say.
What?
Is Sagittarius on the cusp where your stellium is? Like, is it like
The ruler of that house?
Yeah.
I don't know.
So what's interesting is Sarah is talking about like Virgo and how she's like
We have
not
to wrap this back to herbs
into my
because I
Virgo.
started to talk about
But
that.
I have Leo on the cusp of the house where I have the Virgo stellium.
Right.
So my Virgo stellium is actually not all that fly and grounded. If anything, it's like both Leo and Virgo are drowning in a sea of what do we do next.
Yeah.
Which is probably why I go with the flow with you so well, because I just get like a confident, happy face on, because Leo is drowning. It's treading, it's doggy paddling, but its mane is up above the water being like, I got this. That's kind of me.
Yeah, technology does not, I just don't understand how to tell people about technology. Anyway, so my point in this though, is that understanding this about myself, I also have, what is it? My Mars and Pluto and Scorpio with my South Node. And then, what's that asteroid I have there? Juno. Right, I think,
Juno.
And it's just like my birth chart is just like you got some work to do, Sarah, and as most people are. But understanding that though, for me, so this is let's wrap this up here. I said in the beginning that we are going to share our favorite herbs.
Yeah, we're gonna
support us in shadow work, and so for me, I will often try to use an herb to support my fieriness and my capacity to just like turn on a dime and decide something else. And I like passion flower as a support because one, it I think is it feels to me like pretty fiery, but it also weirdly like helps quell it helps to settle my flames so that they don't go out. But it's like it takes my raging, roaring fire down to like a steady burn that is the right temperature to cook a delicious meal instead of burn the whole kitchen down.
Quell.
Yeah.
That's
I don't know if that's
neat
the right
word.
Yeah. Anna's been saying neat left and right recently. Like, who are you? Where did you come from? So she texts me back. She'll be like, oh, that's neat. What? When do you say that? Anyway, passion
all the
flower.
time, apparently.
And I use passion flower in tea, and I also have it in tincture form. And I can just plop the tincture in whatever it is that I'm consuming. And then, of course, I can drink the tea. I can use the dried plant herbs on candles. Just throw it in a fire, put it in a bath, whatever I want to do. Passion flower is my go-to when I'm feeling super shadowy. So when I'm feeling like, resentful, or I'm feeling just really out of place in myself, or like I have some kind of roadblock and I don't understand what it is, or I find myself placing blame on other people or blaming myself for something.
You to have some
passion flower. That's my go-to.
Hold some space for
What's
compassion.
yours, sister?
Okay, well, when you first asked, I have two.
You have two.
And I have two because I am an overcritical thinker. I am my number one biggest enemy, and I am 100% in my own way 99.9% of the time. And so,
we're sitting so far apart on this day.
Well, because you keep the computer right in front of your face.
Well, no, because I'm on this whole side. You're on that side. We have this whole space.
Well,
in
the
the middle
last
of
time
us.
we did this, I tried to move closer to you. You looked alarmed.
You did?
Yeah.
I would never be alarmed with you being closer to me.
We did. We tried to get close, and you were like...
Unless you started breathing on me, then I'd kind of be like, can you stop that?
You were like visually confronted the last time I scooted close.
See, this goes back to your overthinking.
Probably.
Because I definitely was not confronted by you scooting.
I think we even talk about it on
you
the
know
podcast.
what? No, it was during our live class, and it's because the air conditioning was broken, and it was 80 degrees, and I was sweating profusely, and you were touching me. That's why. Okay.
You just
what are your
talk
herbs?
to me like, Kevin, you're touching
me. Why are you touching me?
So for me, I haven't done it in a while, but for a long time, I really enjoyed ashwagandha, which is an adaptogen that I used a lot to make sure that like I am staying grounded and just supported in like my mental chaos. And I used to add that to my smoothies and all sorts of things. And besides that, for like a more tangible herb, I like holy basil because I think it's delicious.
Mm-hmm.
And I like basil in all forms. I like all basil, edible plant basils. And for me, they just have this like very like earthy, comforting like aroma and taste. And also our holy basil specifically is also another kind of herb that is like adaptogenic and helping to support like high stress levels and things like that. So I like that because I have to sometimes take moments where I just take deep breaths. Because a lot of times, even when I'm resting, I'm not resting because my brain is so circular.
I think so many of us can relate to
So
that.
a warm cup of holy basil that is very grounded because I am very earthy, but I am very earthly broken.
I love that your brain is circular.
Yeah.
And mine is just forever like linear.
Yeah.
Like I don't really stew on things that happen.
Low-hanging fruit.
Like I'll talk about them.
Low-hanging
Yeah,
fruit.
if stuff happened, I'll talk about it at end. Don't get me wrong. Like I will talk like a crazy person. But my thoughts though are always like next. It's never, I won't dwell on, well, if we had done this or where did I do this, blah, blah, blah. I'll be like, what? That sucked. And that was the worst. And I'll like call Anna. I'll call my mom. I'll like call everybody I can talk to
and
to
then
talk it out.
Dwell on the conversation.
And then from there, my mind is just like next.
Yeah,
I don't stew on those.
I stew.
No, I'm just like, what's next? What's today?
I stew, and then if I'm trying to be like, what's next? Then I forget things that were important. And then I start stewing
You left
again.
them in the stew.
Yeah, and then I start stewing again because somebody pointed out how like I dropped balls. Not just like one ball. I didn't drop the ball. I dropped the basket of balls. They're just bouncing around off the walls, hitting people, getting flat.
Oh my goodness. All right. So herbs
Adding to the ball pit.
for shadow work. Be sure to head to thesistersenchanted.com/blog to catch the show notes for today, plus a little
Show
extra
notes.
information. There's some examples and ideas in there as well. And if you want to learn more about herbalism, the Herbal Academy, which is one of the programs that I have taken to learn more about herbs in the past. I've taken classes myself. My kids, my little young kids, they've enjoyed the mushroom class, listening in on that.
Fun.
I know. And the wild foraging class. There's so many good ones there. So if you are a family of people looking to just understand plants more or actually learn herbalism, the Herbal Academy, we have taken classes and we are affiliates for them. So we have a link that we will put underneath this episode, and they have their annual back to school sale going on as of August 23rd. So right now, while you're listening to this, it is happening. They have up to 30% off of their programs during their back to school sale. So click the link and check it out.
Linksies.
Yeah, I usually grab at least one because they've got so many like small classes, and then they have big programs. Like if you want to be an herbalist, they've got like full-fledged programs. But then they also have all these little classes, like I said, that we love to take, like the foraging one. We did the botany one, the mushroom one.
Botany.
Yeah. And then I took like intro to herbalism there a few years back. So I think the classes has changed. There's a newer version than the one I took, but it was great. So totally check out the Herbal Academy while it's on sale. They're back to school sale. And again, thesistersenchanted.com/blog. And you can find all the good stuff we have going on, including our free intentional tarot class that's coming up. And we're hosting a meet and greet tomorrow. If you're listening to this in real time, we're hosting a live meet and greet on Zoom. You can just come hang out with Team Sisters Enchanted and say hello. We'd love to get to know you.
Yes, come.
All right. But Herbal Academy, back to school sale. Hit that up. Until next time, we hope that you
have an enchanted
rest of your day
ahead.
Bye.